Welcome to the market recap presented by Tackle Trading. Get in the game.
Good afternoon, Tackle Traders, and hello, YouTube. This is Frank coming to you with the market recap for the 8th of August is Thursday. My computer being a little grouchy. I thought I had her all fixed up and was smooth sailing, and of course it's going to test me. We'll see where it goes. Welcome out, everybody. Hope you had a great day. Good to see you, Lauren. As always, hope the markets are treating you nice. They certainly treated the bulls nice today. We really followed through. We had that little W pattern develop on the S&P 500. We broke right through that, and we basically top to bottom ran bull all day long. A very strong bounce back day for the market. And welcome out, Thiago. Great to see you, sir. And hi, Patricia. Hope you are doing well. On the earnings front, pretty light. Yeah, absolutely, Scott. It was one of those days that I was kind of thinking about things to put on Twitter for Tackle Trading, and I was like, everything's up, so no matter what I'm putting up, it's like, thanks, bro. A lot of, it was very difficult. We had some earnings misses, like Kraft Heinz, kind of usual for them, it seems, at least. But for the most part, it was pretty difficult not to find somebody who closed in the green here today, at least in the S&P 500. And welcome out, Fortino. Great to see you. Hello, Micah. As always, a pleasure. I hope you're doing well. Uber tonight reporting earnings, a handful of S&P companies, including Activision Blizzard. Be excited to see what happens with that one here tomorrow morning. Very weird day for earnings tomorrow morning. There's actually like 40 stocks, but all of them are pretty small. They're smaller cap, no S&Ps, only a couple of even mid-cap stocks. So not a huge name day tomorrow before the open. And welcome out, Emily. Yeah, it was crazy. It's been an interesting week in the market. That is for sure. Now I'm going to try my best to swing over and share my other chart. And I don't know what the heck this is. I think I'm gonna have to break down and buy a webcam and figure out how to do it on my desktop, because it is not getting any less grumpy. It is getting grumpier and grumpier instead of getting better and better. And it's weird. It'll be working and then it'll just stop. And I'm not a tech genius. You guys know that. That's as far away from what I am as possible. Yeah, and I saw that, Thiago. I saw that the after hours was not looking great over on Uber. It'll be interesting to see. As you guys know, I don't trade those type of companies. Not my cup of tea, but certainly a lot of people do, right? The Lyfts and the Up Beyond Meats and the Ubers of the world. Certainly, sometimes I regret not trading them. And welcome out, Jimbo. Good to see you, sir. As you can kind of see, here we are yesterday. We kind of worked right into that W pattern on the S&P. We, of course, broke through that in the futures market after hours, and gap up on the open, and basically it was on from there. We had a little breather towards the tail end of the trading day, but there wasn't even profit taking on the S&P 500. It just kind of flatlined for the before one last pop before the day was done. So a very, very strong day for the bulls here. A lot of the breakouts were looking nice. A lot of the pullbacks, everybody's got their own style. You guys know my style is more on the breakout style, but pullback traders were pretty rewarded pretty nicely here today as well. We're going to have some work to do, but we have certainly reclaimed the trend, the intraday trend. That's moving to the bullish side right now. Welcome out, Amy. Good to see you. We are going to have to deal with the old resistance level around that, around that 29.55, 60 range on the S&P 500, kind of that last big one. What I would love to see, you can always ask, right, is a little bit of a profit-taking day tomorrow, early on Monday, and then upward movement on Tuesday to kind of reclaim the overall trend. We'll see. Based off of today's candlestick, at least, doesn't look like I should expect a whole lot of selling. We'll check in the morning pre-market on the future, see what ends up happening, but certainly a strong bounce back day. And then you guys know the drill. On days like this, it was basically everything. And I know everything's a stretch, but most things are very, very green. All of the different sectors and most of the different industries as well, all very much in the green here today. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that old breakout point, Beyond that, I mean, nothing too scary. The falling 20, you guys know how I feel about that 20 period moving average. I always like when those short-term averages are my friends, not working against me. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. It'll also be important to kind of watch and see what happens if, once some sellers do step in, right? Eventually, doesn't necessarily have to be tomorrow, but eventually we will see some sellers come in. That intraday trend will, go into a bearish position. And how does the market respond there? And that's, for me, that's the big one. That's the one that's telling me, kind of where to look going into, at least, foreseeable future from a bear or a bull perspective. So I continue to believe that we just go with our eyes right now. I don't know about you guys, but I don't trust much of anything bullish or bearish, to be honest with you, with kind of the resurgence of the trade war stuff. But I'm just going with what I see. Get my opinion out of it. Don't worry about what may or may not happen. Trade what you are seeing on the charts. Always a good way to go about it. But maybe now more than ever, I believe is the case. Over in the Dow, we have a little more room to run. Over in the Dow Jones, before we get to its most recent level of resistance, we are going to have to deal with the 9 EMA over here, the breakout point, the 50-day moving average. So there is a little bit more overhead in the not too distant future for the Dow to have to kind of work through here, but very, very similar. At this point in time, I think most traders would agree that broad markets, they're moving together. If the market's down tomorrow, it's probably going to hit all the indexes. If up tomorrow, it's probably going to hit all of the indexes. Right now, that tends to be how the market is moving. But certainly still some overhead, but very strong top to bottom, open to close, bell to bell, however you want to word it, action. Tech, certainly the biggest winner here today. A lot of nice movement in the technology sector. I believe ETF was up well over 2% here today. So good, strong movement over there. And there you go, Am. So get a little bit of protection, and not a bad philosophy. I like it personally. It'll end up being the right or there, Emily. Sometimes it just makes you feel a little more comfortable and safer, right? And there's nothing at all wrong with that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't have wanted to be the one who sold those to you. So for whatever that is worth, I do like that. I do like that concept. I do like that idea of getting a little bit of that cheap out of the money spread, a little bit of extra protection. No, we're not. It's going to take more than a couple of days to convince me otherwise. I'm still going to be very suspicious of the market until we start to really reclaim trends and things like that. But I can certainly appreciate the strength that we saw here today. Over on the NASDAQ, really, we don't have a lot. As far as resistance goes, we did close above the 50-day moving average. We also closed right at or above that old breakout point. So really, if we can follow through on this, not really any resistance until we get to that 78.30 to 40 range on the NASDAQ. Tech has been strong. I preferred the more boring areas, as you know. It's been kind of hard to pick wrong the last couple of days, today in particular. But tech has certainly been one of the, if not the strongest bounce back these last couple of days here. And welcome out, Marie. Always a pleasure to have the Theta Queen with us. It's great to see you as always. Rut, doing what the rut does. It makes it interesting, but somehow, some way, it always ends up, always, again, a stretch. But it seems like back in the middle, it'll push one way or the other. We'll be thinking, we might have to do some hedging for our condors, but then 2 days later, you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm a ways away from that. So we're still very much in that middle of that range. Nothing really has changed for me. I'm looking at that 1450, 1460 break. That would be a place where hedging would make a lot of sense. Obviously, on the other end, we've got a ways to go above 1600 before we get there. And yeah, I would absolutely check that out, Scott. Really, really interesting and effective way to do that, to protect yourself a little bit from some downward movement. If you're a pro member, I would definitely check that out. It's right over on Tackle Trading. If you're not a pro member, hey, you know the drill. We'll do that one early. We can get you hook up with the trial. You can kind of see what Gina was teaching our team members over there with those OTM puts to kind of protect from some downward movement. Definitely worth checking out. I would certainly encourage you to do so. So over in the rut, we're boring. We're still in that sideways range, and at least for now, that's where I'm going to keep us, at least personally. Now, let's see here if I can actually get moving again. And oh yeah, well, we'll just talk about the sectors for a minute while while I don't know what this is. I thought it was fixed. I've had no problems all week long, and then as I was getting warmed up for today, I could kind of sense a little bit of grumpiness. So we'll just talk for a minute. Hopefully, not get kicked around. I'm about ready to break down and have to figure out the other computer, which is not what I want to do. That'll be a weekend chore. But we did see a bounce back in the energy sector. I believe it's the area that's presenting the most interesting place for us on some bearish retracements. Not specifically tomorrow, very much like the broad market. We were kind of, we kind of ran all day long, so showing a tremendous amount of strength in the shorter term. But as we've looked many times, so many of those energy stocks are, at or have broken or very, important levels of support. So certainly an area that I think we'll continue to look for. I think I might be back, and I think I might be wishful thinking there. At least I can sit and talk to you guys. I don't know if that's better or worse. If it just kicked me off, at least I could, go cry in the corner. I have just hope, but we are a little bit. All right. Am I making any progress? Sound check, sound check. It looks like it may be back. Testing, testing. That is terribly frustrating. Are you seeing?